to Gateway's weekend experience, both online and in person. My name is Heather, and I am so glad that you have joined us today. Here at Gateway, we are a community of people helping each other take steps in the right direction. And so we want you to have a great experience today as we participate together in various ways. And we want you to find a place to belong here, to call Gateway home. And a few next steps for you could be joining a connect group or finding an area to serve. And if this is your first time here, maybe you're newer to Gateway, we are so glad that you've joined us today. I encourage you to complete a connect card by either going to our Gateway app or website or scanning the QR code on screen. And if you're with us here in person, please stop by the welcome desk out in the atrium before you leave today. We just want to say hi and personally greet you, and we have a gift for you. Our team is going to lead us in some songs, so we invite you to stand and sing with us.
Good morning, church. We invite you to come and worship with us this morning.
The God who was, we worship the God who is, we worship the God who evermore will be. He opened the prison doors, he parted the raging sea. My God, he holds a victory. There's joy in the house of the Lord, there's joy in the house of the Lord today, and we won't be quiet. We shout out your praise. There's joy in the house of the Lord. Our God is surely in this place, and we won't be quiet. We'll shout out your praise. We shout out your praise. We sing to the God who heals. We sing to the God who saves. We sing to the God who always makes a way. 'Cause he hung up on that cross and he rose up from that grave. My God, still rolling stones away. Oh, there's joy in the house of the Lord. There's joy in the house of the Lord today, and we won't be quiet. We shout out your praise. There's joy in the house of the Lord. Our God is surely in this place, and we won't be quiet. We shout out your praise. We were the beggars, now we're royalty. We were the prisoners, now we're running free. We are forgiven, accepted, redeemed by his grace. Let the house of the Lord sing praise. Come on, let's sing. We're the beggars. We were the beggars, now we're royalty. We were the prisoners, now we're running free. We are forgiven, accepted, redeemed by his grace. Let the house of the Lord sing praise. Come on. There's joy in the house of the Lord. There's joy in the house of the Lord today, and we won't be quiet. We shout out your praise. There's joy in the house of the Lord. Our God is surely in this place, and we won't be quiet. We shout out your praise. There's joy in the house of the Lord. There's joy in the house of the Lord today, and we won't be quiet. We shout out your praise. There's joy in the house of the Lord. Our God is surely in this place, and we won't be quiet. We shout out your praise. We shout out your praise. We shout out your praise. praise be the weapon that silences the enemy. Let praise be the weapon that conquers all anxiety. Let it rise. Let praise arise. We sing your name in the dark and it changes everything. We sing with all we are and we claim your victory. Let it rise. Let praise arise. We see you break down every wall. We'll watch the giants fall. For fear cannot survive when we praise you. The God of breakthroughs on our side. Forever lift him high. With all creation cry, God, we praise you. Oh, we praise you. Oh, let praise be the song that overcomes the raging sea. Let faith be the song that calms the storm inside of me. Let it rise. Let faith arise. We'll see you break down every wall. We'll watch the giants fall. For fear cannot survive when we praise you. The God of breakthroughs on our side. Forever lift him high. When all creation cry, God, we praise you. Oh, we praise you. Oh, this is what living looks like. This is what freedom feels like. This is what heaven sounds like. We praise you, we praise you. This is what living looks like. This is what freedom feels like. This is what heaven sounds like. We praise you, we praise you. This is what living looks like. This is what freedom feels like. This is what heaven sounds like. We praise you, we praise you. Oh, this is what living looks like. This is what freedom feels like. This is what heaven sounds like. We praise you, we praise. We'll see you break down every wall. We'll watch the giants fall. For fear cannot survive when we praise you. The God of breakthroughs on our side. Forever lift him high. When all creation cry, God, we praise you. We'll see you break down every wall. We'll watch the giants fall. For fear cannot survive when we praise you. The God of breakthroughs on our side. Forever lift him high. When all creation cry, God, we praise you. Oh, we praise you. Oh, we praise you. Oh, we praise you. Oh, oh, we give you praise this morning, God. Thank you, Lord. Jesus. We're so thankful this morning for your faithfulness, God. I'm calling on the God of Jacob, whose love endures through generations. I know that you will keep your covenant. I'm calling on the God of Moses, the one who opened up the ocean. I the same thing for me. Come on, make this your prayer this morning. Oh God. Oh God, my God, I need you. Oh God, my God, I need you now. How I need you now. Oh rock of ages, I'm standing on your faithfulness. Your faithfulness. I'm calling on the God of Mary, whose favor rests upon the lowly. I know with you all things are possible. I'm calling on the God of David, who made a shepherd boy courageous. I may not face Goliath, but I've got my own giants. Oh God, my God, I need you. Oh God, my God, I need you now. How I need you now. Oh rock of ages, I'm standing on your faithfulness. On your faithfulness, oh God. Oh God, my God, I need you. Oh God, my God, I need you now. How I need you. Oh, let the words spill out of your heart today. Oh rock of ages, I'm standing on your faithfulness. On your faithfulness. It's your faithfulness we're standing on, Jesus. You heard your children then, you hear your children now. You are the same God. You are the same God. You answered prayers back then, and you will answer now. You are the same God. You are the same God. You are providing then. You are providing now. You are the same God. You are the same God. You moved in power then. God, move in power now. You are the same. Yes, you are. Oh, let faith arise. You are a healer then. You are a healer now. You are the same God. You are the same God. You are a savior. freeing hearts right now. You are the same God. You are the same God. You touch the lepers and I feel your touch right now. You are the same God. You are the same God. Oh God, my God, I need you. Oh God, my God, I need you now. How I need you now. Oh rock of ages, I'm standing on your faithfulness, on your faithfulness. On your faithfulness. Great is thy faithfulness. Great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. And all I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. Come on, we sing. Great is thy faithfulness. Great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. And all I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me.
Thank you, Jesus, that you are our provider, that you are the same God yesterday, today, and forever. And I can confidently say that I am standing on your faithfulness. God, I pray over each heart today that it would be softened and opened to the truth of your word. And I pray that each person would be able to confidently say that they are here because of your faithfulness, that you have provided for them. And I pray you would show up in their lives just the same. Thank you, Jesus, and be with us today. We pray in your name, amen. You may be seated. Thank you for giving to Gateway. This supports the everyday needs of our church and ministry, and it helps us fulfill our mission of reaching many with God's love in practical ways and the good news of Jesus. There are various ways to give, which you can see on screen, and we just encourage you to be part of what we believe we are called to do. Coming up on Sunday, June 26th, during both of our experiences, we will be having water baptisms. This is a symbol of identifying with Jesus and the new life we find in him. We believe this is a necessary step in our faith journey. And so if you have placed your faith in Jesus but have not been baptized, I encourage you to prayerfully consider if this is your next step, and you can fill out an online application this week. At Gateway, we want the absolute best for the next generation of our kids and students, and we believe God has so much for them. So we have online and in-person experiences just for them. For our middle school students in the room, grades 6 to 8, you are now dismissed for your experience. And we are also welcoming grade 5 students. So if you are heading into grade 6 this coming fall, you're in grade 5 right now, you are welcome to join us as well. We are starting a new series today called A.K.A. This is looking at various names of God. And just before Pastor Rick comes to speak to us today, we are going to enter into a time of discussion with those sitting around you. And so the question will be thrown up on the screen. When you think about God, what names do you give him and why? Discuss with those around you. We'll be back in just a moment.
Well, good morning. So glad to have you with us today, online, in person. Thanks for some of your time this weekend. As it was said, A.K.A. This is our new series that we're having before we get into the summer months. And it's an acronym we use, but we don't always know what it stands for. At least I didn't know that it stands for also known as. So it was kind of a learning curve for me. But this year, as our whole theme for the year is look up. That whatever is happening in our lives, especially today, these days, that Jesus would compel us to look up, to look to him, to rise our faith above the things that are earthly and in our lives and bothering us, our troubles. And in this series, we want to take a step back into the Old Testament encounters of people that had, for the very first time, met with God. When even the idea of God was so new and so foreign, he had rarely communicated or talked to them. They knew there was a God, but they didn't know his name. Those very first moments when humanity interacted with Creator God. What did they call him? Why did they call him? Could it be that they named him because of the experiences they had with him those first few times? And if that's the case, what would you call God? Can you remember the first time you interacted with God? You had an encounter with God. What would you call him? Now, I understand that's a provocative question. I realize that. But names are important, aren't they? I mean, names have power. And we have all kinds of names, don't we? We don't just have the name that we inherit. We call that a surname. We all have a surname. And then there's the names that our parents give to us. That's kind of our first name. It's our given name. And so my first name is actually Ricky, not Richard. You can call me Ricky, just don't call me Richard, because that's not my name. And then there's the nickname that our friends have. How many have a nickname? Had a nickname, you all had a nickname in high school. Of course, then there's the names that our loved one gives to us. We would call them a pet name. So like Pookie or Lovey or Babe or too much information, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. And then there's the pain names. You know the pain names that we got? Maybe you got those in high school. Fatso, Scarecrow, Pizza Face, all of those names. And then, of course, we have the name that we're trying to make for ourselves. We start at an early age trying to make a name for ourselves, and we might call that perhaps a signature name. When I think of signature, I think of watching my dad whenever he would sign a check or a bill, and I would watch his signature. And I wanted to do the same thing, and because my dad said, your signature is important to you. And so I remember at a very early age deciding that I was going to work on my signature. Now, the problem was I didn't do it on a pad of paper with a pen. I actually did it with indelible black marker on all of the white baseboards in our entire home. From the very beginning, though, history records how God encountered and spoke with people, but in the first few encounters, nobody knew what to call him. And so the very first name given or ascribed to God was Yahweh, or the word that we would use to translate what actually means Lord. Have a look at this video.
For thousands of years, every morning and evening, Jewish people have prayed these well-known words as a way of expressing their devotion to God. They're called the Shema. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one. And as for you, you shall love the Lord your God with all of your heart, with all of your soul, and with all of your strength. We're going to look at the second key word here. Lord, written in all capital letters. This is the personal name of Israel's God. We first learn the meaning of this name in the story of Moses and the burning bush in the book of Exodus chapter 3. God appears to Moses and he commissions him to liberate the Israelites from slavery. And so Moses wonders, what if people ask the name of the God who has sent me? And so God responds, tell them, A.K.A. has sent me to you. Now, that Hebrew word A.K.A. means I will be. In other words, God's name means that he is the one who is and who will be. God's existence doesn't depend on anyone or anything else. This God simply is. But it will sound kind of strange for Moses to go say to the Israelites, I will be has sent me to you. Only God can say, I will be. So in the next sentence, God tells Moses the version he should say aloud. Yahweh, the God of our ancestors, he has sent me to you. Now, that word Yahweh is the ancient Hebrew form of the verb he will be. And this is the personal name of the God of Israel. It appears over 6,500 times in the Old Testament. Now, here's what's interesting. Over the centuries, Israelites wanted to honor the sacred nature of this divine name. So, as they read the Hebrew Bible aloud and they came to this name, they stopped saying Yahweh and instead started saying the Hebrew word for Lord, which is Adonai. Now, this practice has been continued throughout the centuries. And so later, when people started translating the To English, they adopted the same practice. Instead of spelling out the divine name, they translated it as Lord, spelled in all capital letters. Okay, you got that? Good, because there's more. Ancient Jewish scribes wanted to prevent anyone from even accidentally saying this name aloud when you read the Hebrew Bible. And so they came up with a visual device to remind you to make sure you say Adonai. They took the 4 consonant letters of the divine name. These letters correspond to our English letters YHWH. Then they inserted the 3 vowels from the word Adonai and combined these together to create an artificial hybrid word, which if you pronounced it, it would say Yahuwah, but no Israelite ever said Yahuwah. It's simply a visual reminder to say the word Adonai. Now, it gets more interesting. Much later, Christian scribes came along who didn't know that Yahuwah was an artificial word, and so they began to say it aloud and spell it in their writings. This is the word that eventually entered into English as Jehovah. It's a word many people still use today. But the main thing is, the word Lord in all capital letters is an indication of the divine name. Don't confuse it with the word Lord in your English translations that's not in all capital letters. That is the actual Hebrew word Adon, which just means Lord or master. This word can refer to people like kings or the master of a servant, even a shepherd over his sheep. And sometimes biblical authors will use this word to refer to God, like in the phrases the Lord of all the earth or the Lord of lords. But behind all of these words, Jehovah, Lord, Adonai, stands the original divine name of the God of Israel. It refers to the one who was, who is, and who forever will be.
So his name was so holy, they hardly knew how to speak the name of God. But they had to have a way to speak about him, even though in many respects he was to be nameless. So they started calling on his name when they began to pray based on what he had done or what he was doing in the lives of the people. And so what happened was they began to build kind of a repertoire, if you would, on the names of God and how it related. So they would speak about his reputation or the past, what God had done in the past. Or they spoke of his character, that is a present. What was he doing right there and then? They formed about his authority, his future, what he would do, and they would pray and they would be asking this God to come and to do something for them. They spoke of identification, who they understood who they were in him, and of course anticipation, who they would become because of him. And so this is how we get so many different names for God, even though it's one person. And so it's no wonder that the writer of the Proverbs said that the name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous run into it and they're safe. And so whatever names that we have for God, it's important of how we use them. So when you think about God, what are the names that you give him? And on what do you ascribe that name? In other words, is it reputation? Is it character? Is it hope? What you think he's going to do? What he's already done in the past? Is it based on your experience or someone else's? One of the very first names that was given to God was given by a man called Abraham. And when he addressed God, he called him Jehovah Jireh, which loosely translates the God who provides. Meaning that whenever anything happens in life, when there is a need, God is. God has the answer. God will provide what is needed. That there's always a plan to move forward and to accomplish that plan, to which most of us would say, of course, what kind of a God would he be if he wasn't like that? I hear what you're saying, I agree, but didn't we just get finished talking for the last 5 Sundays about the promises of God? And by the way, if you're new to faith and all of this trusting in God talk or the idea of God keeping his promises, it's okay to doubt and it's okay to question. It's okay here to even disagree. I get it. More importantly, God gets your questions. Because there's stuff that happens in life, doesn't it? There's times when you wonder about the name of God. That is, his character, his reputation, the anticipation, what your experiences have been. And there are moments in your life when you wonder, really, God? Will you, God? I mean, you said this, but no. This can't be you. God, no. God, you can't touch this. God, you can't ask this. God, you make your promises, but it seems to me that whatever this is coming up short in my life. If that's you today, you're in good company. Because that's why I believe that God gave us so many unbelievable stories in the Bible, particularly in the Old Testament, because he knew that there would be doubters. So if you're a doubter here today, then this is for you. He said, let me show you. And therein begins the story of Abraham and Isaac, the one whom God had promised that he would make you a nation and bless all of the nations of the world. It's found in Genesis 22. Let me read it for you. Then God said, take your son, your only son, whom you love, Isaac. Go to the region of Moriah. Sacrifice him there as a burnt offering on the mountain that I will show you. Early the next morning, Abraham got up, loaded his donkey, took 2 of his servants with him, and when he had cut enough wood for the fire, he set out for the place that God had told him to go. For 3 days they walked, and on the 3rd day Abraham looked up, and he saw the place in the distance. He said to his servants, you stay here with the donkey, while I and the boy go over there. We will worship, and then we will come back. Abraham took the wood for the burnt offering and placed it on his son Isaac, and he himself carried the fire and the knife. And as the 2 of them went together, it says that Isaac spoke up and said to his father, Father, yes, my son, the fire is here, the wood's here. Where's the lamb? Where's the lamb for the burnt offering? Abraham answered and he said, God himself will provide the lamb for the burnt offering, my son. And so the 2 of them went off together, and when they reached the place that God had told them, Abraham built the altar there, and he arranged the wood. And then he bound his son Isaac with ropes and laid him on the altar on top of the wood. And then he reached out his hand and he took the knife to kill his son. And at the last moment, the angel of the Lord cried out from heaven, Abraham, Abraham, here I am. Don't lay a hand on the boy. Don't do anything to him. Now I know that you fear God because you have not withheld even your son, your only son, for me. When Abraham looked up, and there in a thicket, he saw a ram that was caught with its horns in the bush. He went over, he took it, he sacrificed the lamb instead of his son. And then Abraham called that place, the Lord will provide, Jehovah Jireh. It's quite a story. We're sharing these because for many of you, you've never heard that story in your whole life. It's quite an ask of God, isn't it? I mean, no one can hear this and wonder how you would respond to God if he asked you of that. It seems that in our world, God can ask so very little of us, and we get really, really upset with him. I wondered years later, when Isaac was much older now, as an older man, Abraham is about to take his final breath. They're having their final moments together, father and son. I wonder how they would have reflected on that story. Hey, Dad, you remember? Well, son, I remember. That was quite an experience. Would you have done it? Like, We never talked too much since then about it. Would you have plunged the knife in? Isaac, there's something more I have to tell you. And this is more important and more valuable than anything that you can see or feel or touch. More than anything, you have to be a person of faith in God. You have to truly believe what God has in mind and in store. And He promised me that through you, we would build a great nation. That His plan for you and your families and your families' families are going to touch and change the whole world. It's far greater than anything that you could ever ask or imagine of God. Isaac, you have to believe this in order to have faith. You will be the one who will carry on the promise of God that will be for all humanity, for every son and every daughter. Remember, nothing compares to having a relationship through faith in God. If you don't have that, Isaac, you've got nothing. We have nothing. Without faith, we'll never please God. When I took you to Moriah, we didn't have a sacrifice. I know it freaked you out when I tied you and put you on that altar we'd built. But you got to understand, it was just as tough for me too. I had waited for years. I had been trusting in the promise of God for so many years. And now I'm going to have to give it all up. Give it all up to a God that I barely know, that I don't even know His name. And when I think about it, when I think about those moments, as I slowly got to know the character and the person of God, but when He wanted to sacrifice you, it was like everything was in slow motion. God, you want me to what? And for 3 days, I was trying to figure out how the promise of God was going to work. For 50 miles, we walked together. And I thought of all that you meant to me, what you were to me, which was so much harder as I thought about what was about to happen. You represented my identity. I was your father. I felt safe and secure in that. You represented God's promise in my life that after all of my years, I could actually trust in God. I loved you more, son, than any father could ever imagine. But deep inside, I knew that whatever was about to happen, God would be with us, and God would provide. And He did. Just a few reminders for us today, especially for those who are going through some difficult times. And maybe after the last 5 or 6 weeks, you're questioning the promises of God, and you're not quite sure you know Him well enough to trust Him. Be reminded today that God provides what we need when we need it. Acts 4 says He has shown kindness by giving you rain from heaven and crops in their seasons. He provides you with plenty of food and fills your hearts with joy. But remind ourselves that our timing, your timing, is probably never going to be God's timing. And I think sometimes in your steps of faith, as you're building your faith, one of the stumbling blocks to your journey is the timing of God, in the trusting of God. I promise you this, God always keeps His promises, and He always provides, but the timing will always be frustrating. So if you're here today and you're not convinced, don't give up. Trust in God. He will provide. Don't turn your back today on tomorrow's opportunity for Him to show Himself. Another thought is that God provides generously and effortlessly. Our God is not a stingy God. The scriptures say that He will supply all of our needs according to His limitless supply and His vast riches. God is wanting to bless, and he will. Be reminded today that God provides because he loves blessing us. He truly does. I know that sometimes people, they hold back in their steps of faith because they're like, well, I'm not sure I can trust in that. He loves you, and he wants to bless you. My last thought is that where God guides, God provides. And in your journey of faith, maybe you've been waiting, or you've been praying for help, or you need a breakthrough. And I really believe this is a different kind of service today because we really want you to be able to respond today. That in your heart, maybe God's timing has been slow. Will he provide? You can't see your way out of the situation, and maybe the needs are far outweigh whatever lifestyle or whatever finances or whatever hope you had in a career or a job, and you just feel alone and you're struggling. And the weight and the stress is more than you can bear. And maybe it's a physical need today. Maybe that you need a touch in your body. Maybe it's a spiritual need and you're just not sure you can really trust in more. Or it's emotional and your emotions or your mental health is kind of all over the map. His name reminds us that he's got this. And he is fully able, fully willing, and wants to provide for your life. When you came in this morning, we gave you a card. I'm going to invite you to take that card out. And if you have a pen or a pencil, you can use that. Or if you'd like, you're also quite welcome to pull your phones out, and you can do this. But over the next 4 or 5 Sundays in this series, you're going to get one every single week. And I'm going to encourage you to journal a prayer to God, to journal your heart or your thoughts concerning your need or the provision or what you're believing for God in your life today. I want to know you as my provider. And however, by whatever means you do, I want you to write out and to create this prayer in this moment and then keep it with you for the rest of this week, that God might show himself and reveal his name in your life. Jehovah Jireh, the Lord my provider.
Be still, my soul, the Lord is on thy side. Bear patiently the cross of grief or pain. Leave to thy God to order and provide. In every change, he faithful will remain. Be still, my soul, thy best, thy heavenly friend. Through thorny ways leads to a joyful end. Be still, my soul, thy God doth undertake to guide the future as he has the past. Thy hope, thy confidence, let nothing shake. All now mysterious shall be bright at last. Be still, my soul, the waves and winds still know his voice who ruled them while he dwelt below. In you I rest, in you I found my hope, in you I trust. my soul, the hour is hastening on, when we shall be forever with the Lord. When disappointment, grief, and fear are gone, sorrow forgot, love's purest joys restored. Be still, my soul, when change and tears are past, all safe and blessed, we shall meet at last. In you I rest, in you I found my hope, in you I trust, you'll never let me go. I place my life within your hands alone. Be still, my soul, in you I rest, in you I found my hope, in you I trust, you'll never let me go. I place my life within your hands alone. Be still, my soul. Be still, my soul. Be still, my
I hope that you leave today just as encouraged as I was. God is our provider. He never fails us. He always shows up and blesses us abundantly. I am so thankful for that truth, and I pray that you are reminded throughout the week that God is your provider. I encourage you to hold on to your prayers, pray them each day, and thank you again for joining us. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you soon.